Welcome to an episode of Let's Make Breakfast, and today we are starting with some mini pancake muffins. I make these all the time for my toddler daughter. I use like the all-in-one pancake mix from Walmart. Always add in a splash of vanilla, necessary water, and then just give that a good stir. I have this little mini muffin pan. It's like a silicone one, and I just use a tablespoon and I just fill that up. I got about 18 out of this, which I was pretty impressed by. I just did 1 cup of the pancake mix and made it per the box directions because I wanted to see how many I could get for just 1 cup of mix, and I got 18. And these are going to be chocolate chip pancake muffins, but as you have noticed, I forgot to put it in the batter, so instead we're just going to top these with chocolate chips because that's fine, and my daughter will eat them anyway. So I'm just going through with the last bits of the batter and just making sure that I use as much as I possibly can and fill up every little square inch. So we got the mini chocolate chips for the mini pancake muffins because they're so adorable. I can't even stand it. In the same bowl, I am now making just regular pancakes, like to make pancakes for myself and my husband, mostly my husband. And so I'm just scooping in the last of the mini muffins that I had in the cup that I didn't put in the mini ones. And so now I'm just going in with more pancake mix just to make regular sized pancakes. My daughter decided to join us, and her version of helping was just going to be to dump all of the pancake batter out of the bowl and on to the counter. So again, I'm adding in vanilla. This is the Trader Joe's bourbon vanilla bean paste. I love it. We don't have a Trader Joe's here, so whenever we are around a Trader Joe's, I get like 2 or 3 because I use it in any sort of sweet baking uh, treat that I am making. So now we're going in with regular sized chocolate chips along with those mini ones that I had used earlier and just giving that a nice little stir. I tried to see if my daughter wanted to help stir and she was like, nah, I just want to play in the pancake flour mix. So that's what she did instead. To a pan, a nice hot pan, I did put a little oil down and then I'm just going in. This is a 1/4 cup scoop and I'm just dumping in. I get about 4 that fit on this pan, so that is what we're going to do now, and we're just going to repeat that until we run out of batter. I feel like my pan wasn't hot enough when I had first started, so I'm just going back in and putting some of that first batch of pancakes back on just for a couple minutes, just to give them a little bit of a darker color. Like these other ones, they look so much nicer. I mean, I know they're all perfectly edible, but the darker ones just have that nice classic pancake look. So they did darken up a little bit. So now I'm just going to take those off and then repeat with the last part of the batter. I mean, a plate of pancakes, it's just so good. My husband loves these all the time, so that's why I make a big batch, and then we can freeze them and have them all week long. Now I'm moving on to making breakfast burritos. So I'm starting by cooking up some turkey sausage in my pan and just letting that cook down. And I tried to cut out as much of this video as possible because I have to set my tripod on my stove. That as I am trying to break it apart, I realized that it was shaking the camera like a ridiculous amount. So I cut out a lot of that. And then, yeah, just straining it out with a slotted spoon just to get as much of the grease out as possible. And then I'm putting it in a bowl, of course, lined with a paper towel to soak up even more of that grease. To me, nothing says breakfast burrito quite like bacon. I mean, I'm a huge sausage fan, but sausage and bacon together is just an amazing combination. Plus, then, of course, we're adding cheese and eggs and all of that good stuff. So I'm just going through and I'm just adding my bacon to a foil lined baking sheet. I did realize this one was kind of a shallow baking sheet. I would recommend using a deeper baking sheet just to ensure you don't spill any bacon grease on yourself or the ground. Now, I will say it probably would have cooked up better if I had split it between two pans, but it's kind of like, when you're grabbing groceries from the car, why would I make two trips when I could just make one? So that's the thought process that I had with my bacon here is I'm just getting it all on the tray. And then of course I do flip it and move it around as it cooks to try to even everything out. And yeah, we're just popping that in the oven. Now I'm making my eggs. So I have 8 eggs in a blender, added about a cup of cottage cheese, blended that up, added some salt and pepper as well, and then it blended that again. I know you can make scrambled eggs like on the stove or even in a baking tray and put that in the oven, but I just like doing these little egg muffin bites. And obviously, I did keep them really plain, but that's because they're going in a burrito where I'm adding in the sausage and the bacon and everything else. But if you wanted to just make egg bites, obviously you could throw in your sausage, your bacon, and all of the goodness into these, and I do that quite often as well, and they are delicious. And I get about 12 with the 8 eggs and then the 1 cup of cottage cheese, so it's a pretty good amount there. My bacon is done. My husband likes his bacon slightly less crispy than I do, so I am gonna put a few of these pieces back in the oven, but I did start by just slicing up bacon that was done to his likeness, and then I'm gonna cook the rest of it to my likeness, which is super crispy, and then I'll cut that up as well. Now we've got the better bacon, which is the crispier bacon, unless you're on the side of like my husband who likes slightly less crispy bacon. But yeah, and you'll notice I have a paper lined a bowl once again, and that's just because, of course, bacon is very greasy. So anytime I can get some of that extra grease off, I'm gonna do it. And then yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and chop up the better bacon into nice little pieces so it will fit in my breakfast burritos. The last item we need to prep for our burritos is the hash browns, and I have this bag of just frozen shredded hash browns. You could also do tater tots, whatever kind of potatoes you have, but I just wanted the little shoestring one, so I'm using my tray that I cooked the bacon on. I did use a paper towel and soak up a little bit of the grease, so it just wasn't like a pool, but there is enough that I think would add some nice bacony flavor to my potatoes, and then that way I don't need to reuse a whole other thing of foil. So I got that going in the oven, and then I'm taking my delicious little egg bites here and I'm just cutting them in half because each burrito is going to get one egg bite, and I'll just open it so that way it fills up the width of the tortilla. Now, prepping for breakfast burritos does take quite a bit of time depending on how many items you're wanting to put in your breakfast burrito, but once you get to the part where you get to assemble them, I think it's all worth it. So every burrito is getting an egg bite. And so I am going to be making 10 breakfast burritos. These ones right now are on just regular tortillas, and then I'm making 5 more that are on like a high fiber tortilla because I prefer those ones. So we've got eggs, we've got cheese, of course. And if you're like, Carlene, didn't your egg bites make 12 instead of 10? That is correct. I ate one in the middle of filming this because I was super hungry. And then the other one I just saved and I ate that at a different time in the week on its own. So now we're going in with bacon. We already did our cheese and we're just going to be assembling these lovely burritos and then following it up with doing it again on the high fiber tortillas. Now, before I put these in a bag, I do like to label them just so we know what kind of burritos they are. So they are turkey sausage and bacon, and then I put a J on them for my husband so he knows that those are the burritos for him since we like the different tortillas. Now, here we are doing the same thing with the other tortillas. So, again, 5 more burritos for a total of 10. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes the breakfast burrito, it just hits so good, especially when you're eating it and you just drizzle it with a little salsa. Oh my gosh, like so good. I don't know. I'm recording this in the morning and I haven't had breakfast. So I think that might be part of this. But also, as you can tell, I think I was running out or something because I feel like I didn't fill my burritos as much as I filled his. Also, I had forgotten about cheese, so I had to go back through and do the cheese because what's a breakfast burrito without cheese? What is life without cheese, really? So, we've got to do the cheese. And then, of course, we've got our delicious, crispy, bacon infused shredded hash browns. I don't always add potatoes to burritos, but I feel like I'm gonna have to because it was so good. And then we're just gonna roll those up. I do tend to load my burritos, so I was really happy that I had no tortillas split on me in the making of these. And that's pretty rare. Normally there's at least one. Now I'm just cleaning up and putting all of my leftovers in a container. So I've got one egg bite, I've got a little bit of the sausage, I've got some of the crispy potato, and then of course I've got a little bit of the bacon that I'm actually going to be using in a dinner recipe in my Let's Make Dinner video that's coming out after this one. And then of course I've got all the pancakes that I made earlier in the video. I did like par freeze them, so I just put them on a wax lined baking sheet, throw them in the freezer, and then that way when you go to throw them in your giant Ziploc bag, they don't all stick to one another, and it's amazing because that's really annoying. So, and then of course I've got the regular size pancakes, and those will go in the freezer, and my husband or myself can grab those along with our breakfast burritos for the week. I had so much fun making this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, I'd really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that this inspired you to make something delicious for your breakfast this week.